Breaking news coming your way out of Atlanta, and it's not all that shocking after the Atlanta Falcons lost 23-16 at home this afternoon against the Carolina Panthers. The team dismissed its head coach, Dan Quinn, and their GM, Thomas Dimitrov. Of course, the Falcons are 0-5 for the first time since their 1997 season. No interim coach has been named as of yet. Team CEO and President Rich McKay will take over the day-to-day duties for the dismissed Thomas Dimitrov, who has been with the organization since 2008 and hired Dan Quinn in 2015. And for more on this, we bring in our insider, Tom Pelissero. All right, Tom, I don't think it's shocking news out of Atlanta, is it?
It's not, Chris, especially when you go back to the end of last season when Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, explained his decision to keep Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitrov on, talking about the way the Falcons had finished the second half of last year when they rallied from a 1-7 start. It was very clear that even given the circumstances coming into this season with a pandemic that shortened the offseason, that eliminated the preseason, all the injuries that the Falcons had, particularly on the back end of their defense, that the onus was going to be on Dan Quinn and his staff to win right now. They were not able to accomplish that, and there were some brutal losses along the way. None worse than the game in Dallas that they appeared to have in hand, ended up losing under a unique set of circumstances that included an onside kick that they failed to recover. All those types of losses picked at the scab of the Super Bowl loss 4 years ago. As much as Dan Quinn felt that he had built a culture there, as much as Arthur Blank had praised Quinn for everything he had done for the organization. And with Thomas Dimitrov, one of the longest tenured GMs in the NFL, somebody who had been in Atlanta since 2008, the results just were not there on what was a veteran team with a good group at the skill positions on offense, have a lot of first-round draft picks on that team. They simply did not win. And now, just 1 week after Bill O'Brien became the first head coach / GM to be let go, there are now two openings with Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitrov out in Atlanta.
Tom, when you look at this team, does it feel like it can be a quick fix, as they will expected to name an interim head coach on Monday? They still have Matt Ryan, who's a former league MVP, but isn't playing his best ball. Julio Jones misses as many games as he plays, it feels like. And the defense has got hole after hole, even though they seem to have a ton of young talent just as recently as about 2 years ago.
Well, the injuries, as I said, definitely did not help, Chris, especially early on in this season on defense. I was at the game last Monday night, not even a week ago, in Green Bay, where they simply did not have answers. And there were a couple of touchdowns by the Packers, including that one right there to Aaron Jones, where there wasn't anybody even in the vicinity. Of course, Dan Quinn's background is on defense. He was with Pete Carroll in Seattle. He had help, of course, with that unit, and he was the head coach of a football team that, again, had a lot of success. They made a couple playoff runs. They went to a Super Bowl before. We all know exactly how that game ended. In terms of how quick of a fix can this be? Well, you've got some veterans. Matt Ryan is one. Julio Jones, who signed a huge contract extension before last season, is another. They've got some other good young players on the team, too. Calvin Ridley, a player who, in Julio Jones' absence early this season, showed, if anybody doubted it at all, that he can be a number one receiver in the NFL. But certainly they need more difference makers on the defensive side of the ball. They're getting by with some guys like Todd Gurley, who probably have seen better days in their career. If you're going to rebuild this thing, of course, you're going to be looking for a head coach and general manager, want them to be in lockstep on what you do. In terms of, in the short term here, let's remember, we're 5 games into the season. I'm sure that Arthur Blank, somewhere in his head, is hoping maybe there's even a fix this year. I am told that there has been no final decision on an interim head coach for the Falcons for the rest of this season, but one name to keep an eye on: Raheem Morris was the head coach in Tampa Bay, had a 10-win season with the Bucs once upon a time. He would be a logical candidate to potentially take over on an interim basis, Chris.
And speaking of former Buccaneers head coaches, Dirk Cutter is on the offensive side of the staff. So if they don't go with Morris, you assume they go Cutter?
He would be the other candidate in terms of somebody who has head coaching experience. Jeff Ulbrich, another coach who is respected. They've got a guy in Bob Sutton who's been around the NFL forever. They certainly have different directions that you could go. With Raheem Morris, you have somebody who does have that experience, would bring a little bit different type of a vibe to the room than Dan Quinn. Of course, none of that is to say anything negative about Dan Quinn and sort of the culture that he tried to build, that brotherhood that we've heard him talk about so many different times. But if you are looking for a jolt to your team, just from a personality perspective, Raheem Morris would seem to be the guy who would most easily fit the bill.
All right, Tom Pelissero, thanks so much for the information on the Atlanta Falcons. Once again, Dan Quinn and their GM, Thomas Dimitrov, are out. Quinn has been in charge since 2015. Dimitrov has been with the franchise since 2008. We'll have much more on this breaking news as another head coach has been let go, coming your way on Game Day Final tonight, 11:30 Eastern.